Hello everyone, this is Kruti Patel from Pharmaceutical Technology Department, LJ Institute of Pharmacy. In today's lecture, we are going to study about different dryers. Now, I have already told you what do you mean by dryers. Dryers are the equipments which are used for the drying process. Let's start with the first dryer. Our first dryer for today's lecture is tray dryer. Now, let's understand it. What is tray dryer? Tray dryer, as name suggests, there will be trays in which drying process will take place. Now, the tray dryer is very much similar to our oven, which you have at your home or which you have in your college. Okay, oven. What is the mechanism of oven? There is an insulated chamber. You have to keep all your things which you want to dry or which you want to make. You have to place them in trays. Then you have to set temperature and time, and then you are done. Okay, same process is applied here in tray dryer. It is very much similar to your oven. Now let's start with the principle. It works on the principle of conduction as well as convection. Now, what is conduction, what is convection, what is radiation? This three are the types of heat transfer which you have already studied in heat transfer chapter, so I'm not going into detail. Okay, so that works on the principle of conduction as well as convection. Now, this is the diagram of tray dryer. As I told you, it is very much similar to your oven, which you might have already seen in your lab. Okay, so what is there? There is an insulated chamber. This is a chamber, okay, in which there are different trays. Now, this tray dryer is available in two scales. First is lab scale, and second is industrial scale. Okay, so lab scale, if you are talking about lab scale, then it has minimum three trays. Okay, if we are talking about industrial scale, then it may have as many as 15 to 20 different trays. Okay, so industrial scale is always larger than lab scale. Okay, so there is an insulated chamber, rectangular chamber with insulated walls. Then there will be trays in which you have to load your material. This is a heater. This is inlet. Fresh air is introduced through this inlet. It will get heated up with this heater. Then it will be circulated in the oven. For proper circulation of air, we have a very specific provision, that is fan. This is very important part of tray dryer. If we don't have the fan, then we cannot have proper drying. Okay, there will be formation of hot spots or cold spots. What do you mean by hot spot? Hot spot means a specific place where the temperature will be higher. That is hot spot compared to other areas. And what is cold spot? Means at that particular point, the temperature will be less compared to other parts of dryer. Okay, so that is hot spot and cold spot. So if we don't have fan, then we can have chances of hot spot and cold spots. Okay, so tray, inlet of air, heater, and then fan. Okay, so this is the construction. I guess construction is very clear now. The working is same. You have to load your material, you have to keep, or you have to set temperature, and then you have to unload your material. The important thing in working is uh, 70 to 80%. Yes, I have mentioned here. It is important. The time of contact is short, and the amount of water picked up in a single pass is less. Therefore, 80 to 90% of fresh air is circulated back through fan. Only 10 to 20% of fresh air is introduced every time. Means during each cycle, what happens? The heated air is only circulated back. That means your air will enter through this inlet. It will get heated up. Then this heat is transferred to specific material. What happens when that heat is transferred to specific material? That air molecule will lose its heat. Okay. Then what happens? This is again circulated back in oven through help of this fan. So it will circulate it back and then it will come again through this part and then again it will be heated up with the heater. So every time 70 to 80 to 90% of air is circulated back, only 10 to 20% of fresh air is introduced. Okay, so now I guess this sorry. So now I guess this working is very clear to everyone, right? So I'm not going into detailed construction and working. The next is uses where you can use for the drying of sticky materials or plastic materials or granular mass means granules or crystalline substance or precipitates, anything you can dry. Crude drugs can also be dried. Chemical, powder, tablet granules, parts of equipments, this all products can be dried very easily. If we talk about advantages of hot air oven, then loading and unloading of material is very easy. You can load material, you can take out trays, you can load material, and then you can have proper drying process, and then you can unload them. So it is very easy. Then it is operated batch wise. So when you operate it batch wise, it is very important, or it is very easy to use in manufacturing process of pharmaceuticals, right? How it is very easy. Say for example, I have dryer in which I have 15 different shelves, 15 different trays. So what I'll be doing, I can keep in same material A in 3 trays, then material B in next six trays. So likewise, I can dry variety of material at the same time. Okay, so that is an advantage for pharmaceutical manufacturing processes. And the important advantage is each batch or each tray can be considered as single entity. Okay, so that is very easy. Then the other important part is valuable products can be handled very efficiently. If you have a valuable product, then loading and unloading has to be done by you only, by yourself only, or by laborers only. So you can protect, or the loss of valuable materials will be less. Okay. If we talk about disadvantages, then loading and unloading has to be done manually. So that increases the labor cost and time consuming process. How it is time consuming? Because for one drying cycle at around 60 degrees Celsius, you require approximately 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. This is how it is time consuming. So each batch will be of 60 to 40 minutes, and that is how it is time consuming. Okay, so this is the tray dryer. I guess tray dryer is clear now to everyone. It is very easy process, I guess, right? Yes, and if you want to have more clear idea, I've given a link. You can click on that link and you can have idea. Our next dryer is drum dryer or roller dryer or film drum dryer. Now, as name suggests, there will be a drum which will be rotating and that will be drying. That is drum dryer. The another name is film dryer. Film dryer means there is a drum on which a film of substance will be formed and that film will be drying. Okay, so that is film drum dryer. Now, look at the diagram. There is a feed. This is a feed pan. Okay, in which slurry is there? Sorry, in which slurry is there? Now this drum is partially dipped into this. This drum is partially dipped into this slurry, means only this much portion is dipped. Okay. Now what happens? The heater is in this part below. Okay. So center part will be having heaters. This part will be having heaters. Okay. So this your drum will be heated up. It is rotating in this direction. So when your drum starts rotating from here, what happens? There is a spreader. The spreader will help in forming a uniform film, thin film. This thin film is approximately dried in this area. Okay. After this area, this is completely dried. Okay. This completely dried material is scraped off with the help of this doctor's knife. There is two important elements, spreader and doctor's knife. Spreader will help in forming a thin film. Doctor's knife will help in scraping off the material. Okay, so this is drum dryer. Let's look at the principle. So, let's look at the principle. In drum dryer, a heated hollow metal drum rotates on its longitudinal axis, which is partially dipped into the solution to be dried. I told you partially dipped. The solution is carried as a film on the surface of the dryer and dried to form a layer. A suitable knife scrapes the dried material and while the drum is rotating. Easy? It is very easy, right? So I'm not going into detailed construction. I've already explained you. I'm not going into working also. It is also very easy. Let's look at the uses. It is used for the drying of solutions, slurries, suspensions, etc. You can dry. Sorry. The important part, milk products can be dried by this method. Then also starch products, ferrous, salts, suspensions of zinc oxide, suspension of kaolin, yeast, pigments, malt extracts, antibiotics, insecticide, calcium and barium carbonate. All these products can be dried by this method. The important part from exam point of view is you have to remember the name of all these products. Why? Because they might ask you write a note on equipments which are used to dry milk products. Important question. Okay, so first of all, what you have to do, you have to list down all the equipments which are used for the drying of milk products, and then you can explain any one of them. Okay, so that's why remembering these uses is very important. Now, if we talk about advantages, it is drying time is very less. In hot air oven, I told you one cycle is of around 30 to 40 minutes, depending upon the material and moisture content. Whereas in case of this drum dryer, the drying time or contact time is approximately 15 to 60, 6 to 15 seconds only. Okay, so it is a huge difference. So it is very, drying time is very less. Then also, uh, the drum jar occupies very less space. Okay. Then rate of heat transfer and mass transfer is very high because as thin film is formed, the product obtained is completely dried and it is in final form only. So you can pack them and you can dispatch them. Disadvantages is higher maintenance cost. Skilled operators are required. Why skilled operators are required? Because feed rate, film thickness, speed of rotating drum, and temperature. These are the parameters which will affect drying process. So, a operator must know how to control all these factors. That's why skill operators are required, which is cost increasing process, right? And it is not suitable for the solutions of salts with less solubility. If, of course, if your solution has less solubility, your salts have less solubility, then not proper drying will take place and you cannot have proper efficient drying. Okay. The important part which I forgot to tell you is that the surface. The surface of this drum should be very smooth. If it is not smooth, then what happens if you have rough surface or if you have grooves on this surface, then what happens? The clogging of material will take place. Due to clogging, not proper scraping will be done, and also not proper film will be formed with the spreader, and this will cause clogging and this will cause contamination. Okay, so the surface should be very smooth. Okay, so in today's lecture we studied about tray dryer and drum dryer. Now I guess it is very clear to you. The notes will be provided to you. If you have any doubts, you can ask me, and stay home and stay safe and keep reading. Thank you so much everyone.